should we check in with Tony Khan's bunch real quick? There's just a couple of news items that we've got to go over with the AEW crowd, and then we'll start catching up on some of the WWE business and related ephemera. But, Brian, have you heard the boyhood dreams dashed at the foot of reality? Poor Darby Allin ain't gonna get to climb the mountain. Have you heard about this?
I did hear about this, of course, on AEW Dynamite, which we reviewed on the Drive-Thru. We talked about the big injury angle where they broke the foot or the ankle of Darby Allin. Little did we know, we thought this was a weird way to write him off the show after he already said, I'm leaving to go to Mount Everest. Little did we know he actually did break his foot before they, in character, broke his foot. This whole thing is ridiculous.
They didn't need the angle. He'd already done it for him. And folks, I'm not laughing at someone's misfortune. Yes, in this case, I am. In this case, I'm laughing at someone's misfortune because when you stand outside with handfuls of corn cobs and go, suey, 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 and the hogs trample you, what the fuck? You brought it on yourself, right? Right, Brian? Have you ever done that? Never mind. The point is, he fucking injured himself before he could get to the injury angle. You can't write this shit. And it happens over. So let's recap the situation for folks that may have not been paying attention. Darby Allin, by his own admission, was homeless and sleeping in his car 5 years ago when he got right before he got the AEW job. He is on the very small side to be a professional wrestler, so the odds were against him to begin with, but he's got the natural charisma of something that helps him along, and so he's defied odds and logic there. He comes across a company funded by a billionaire that will take a chance not only on anybody, but give them a lot of money. And he gets a guaranteed contract. And now, 5 years after being homeless, he's on a national television show. And Brian, we don't have any idea, or we're not even speculating what Darby Allin is making per year. Just give it a placeholder figure. Is it? I think $250,000 a year from what we hear about.
Oh, it has to be more than that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. From what we hear about Tony Khan's, MO and payroll would be a drop in the bucket. You say it has to be much more than that. Should we say 500? It may be more. It may be less. Let's say 5 because it's a round number.
If you want to say 5, just sign us NDA over here, please.
Well, the point is, let's assign some numerical figure. Let's say 250 because you scoffed at it. So that's the lowest it could be. But you've gone from homeless sleeping in your car to a job on national television, making $250,000 a year where you only wrestle. You appear basically once a week. Let's say he wrestles once a week. And because some weeks he don't wrestle and some weeks maybe he does friggin' Rampage or whatever the fuck. And some people are going to say, well, but he throws himself off the roof in every match. Okay, much of this is his own choosing and not necessary. So every time that this guy shows up and gets in the ring, he makes $5,000. And then, of course, that's a ridiculously low amount. So is it 10 grand or is it 15 grand or whatever? He's got the merchandise going on. He's got this job where he's making a lot of money, and he's also in a position where almost no other wrestlers from any other generation before have been in that if he gets hurt, the promoter will pay him his guaranteed money until he's better. If the show doesn't draw, the promoter pays him the same thing anyway. No matter where he is on the card, he's going to get his check in full. All of those things. So then he says, you know what, this is good, but I think I'm going to go climb Mount Everest. Now, not that he has ever clumbed
No, he hasn't. He's
a
never.
mountain.
I have never seen him clumb before.
No, he's never clumbed a mountain before. Has no experience whatsoever in clumbering up that mountain, baby.
He's a mountain clumber.
We'll never know, but he just says, I want to do something I've never done. I'm going to climb a mountain. Not only am I going to climb Mount Everest. And now for an artiste such as the brooding twink, I think MJF called him, or whatever for his.
I called him that first on this show.
Well, okay. So then MJF stole that from you, like he stole, some of the things from me. But nevertheless, hopefully he'll steal the original of his contract from Tony's offices and get the fuck out of it. Nevertheless, in his artistic mind, that might be a thought that would run across you. And then it should be up to your employer, who has given you this incredible spot of a lifetime, to say, well, Darby, that's all well and good, and we appreciate it, but maybe you should channel your energies into a little more productive pursuits. And remember that $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 or whatever the fuck it is a week that I'm paying you to come and be on my TV and wrestle. If you go and fall off that fucking mountain and die or paralyze yourself, not only are you dying or paralyzing yourself, but also all of my money that I've paid you all this time has gone to waste because you've taken yourself out of the ball game. So maybe it might not be a good idea for you to do something like that. But oh no, that's when Tony says, fuck, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. I bet they hang around the fucking arcade and wait for Fonzie to come in and fucking elbow the jukebox on to play their favorite song.
Tony may party a bit too much for Darby.
And so he says, okay, well then let's publicize it. Okay, I can understand if they had planned, that they're going to take a camera with this motherfucker and they're going to have these live feeds from Tibet. I don't know where the fuck Mount Everest even is. And some way they're going to get some programming out of it somehow. But goddamn, they tell everybody he's going to leave on March 27th to go climb Mount Everest. They've been telling him that without the specific date for quite some time. And then in Sting's retirement match, where he wants it to be all about Sting, he tries to kill himself, does a thing to the point where they had a plan B if he couldn't get up and come back. And that steals all the attention. So everybody's, what's next for Darby? He's going to go climb Mount Everest. And he comes and does a fucking TV match against Jay White that not only was it but also, as we mentioned, they closed the match by doing an injury angle to explain his absence when they've been telling people, including on that show, yeah, he's leaving to climb Mount Everest. So that looks so fucking phony as a goddamn get well card from an Undertaker anyway. But then in a double reverse rib, while we thought that the mountain climbing might get in the way of wrestling, the wrestling has gotten in the way of the mountain climbing. Before they got to the injury angle, dipshit had broken 3 bones in his foot doing some type of something off the top rope to begin with in the match. And now can't climb Mount Everest because he's a one-footed mountain climber. Your thoughts, Brian?
Well, do we know how long he's going to be out? Was that reported?
I think you have to climb. You can't just fucking...
I'm not talking about climbing now, just a foot.
No, but here's what I'm saying is that he's out of climbing Mount Everest because if you don't leave, like, I guess when the Sherpas leave and the fucking burrows are ready, I don't know what the fuck, then you can't go for another year. So he says it's going to be 2025.
It'll be next year, and he'll go. And I'm sure Tony feels awful about how awful Darby feels about this, so he'll make sure he gets the best Sherpa he can get. I'm pretty sure about that. You can guarantee that. No one knew he was going to get hurt. And unlike you, I don't hate Darby Allin. I like Darby Allin.
I didn't hate him. I didn't hate him until he dove through the fucking plate glass window.
That was the stupidest thing ever. And again, his excuse was he didn't want to take anything away from Sting's match. He dove through a plate of glass. But no one knew he was going to get hurt. So if you're going with the idea that he did not have a broken foot going into this match, why did they do an injury angle right after he already said it was one of his best promos, because it wasn't just, I'm going to Mount Everest. It was, I may die. I may never come back. I love you all. Thank you forever. It was a goodbye speech. But then they broke his foot, and they did an angle when they broke his foot.
And then what were they going to do with it if they did try to publicize him actually climbing the goddamn mountain? Would they say, well, here, while he's recuperating from his broken foot, here he is climbing Mount Everest?
What if he unfortunately died? You'd have crazy fans blaming Jay Ping Pong White. You're the reason he got that blood clot, you motherfucker. So they did this injury angle. Now that this news is out there, what do? Do you say that they broke his ankle, or do you acknowledge, as it's been reported, because it got out right away, that he actually broke his own ankle on the dive? What do you do?
Well, no. Now wait a minute. Let's try to be more precise. They were targeting the ankle in the angle, and gravity in reality was targeting the foot, and he broke apparently 3 bones in his foot. And there was one thing that he did. He did the coffin drop off the top rope, and the guy was on the apron. He moves off the apron, and Darby bounces off the apron and spun off onto the floor. And when I saw that, I thought, well, he had to have blown his bursal sac in his knee. It looked like he landed on the point of his knee at one point. I thought he had crippled himself there because it was right to the point of the knee on the floor, and that wasn't it. Apparently, maybe that was the same thing as same move he broke the foot on, and he was too hurt but with the foot to notice he fucked up his knee. I don't know what this guy is doing. He flusters me. But that's the point is now.
With the AEW schedule,
Jesus Christ,
you should be happy if you get like 3 or 4 matches out of your favorite guys in a calendar year.
It's just insane that they have got. There has been no logic to this from the start, and now the whole thing ends up in a popcorn fart because they couldn't even say, my God, after Darby flung himself off the equivalent of a fucking 2.5-story building through that thick pane of glass onto a concrete floor. He's all stove up, as Aunt Lola used to say. And he's going to take a couple months off. Instead, they come back and do a fake injury angle, but they've still said he's going to go climb the fucking mountain. So no matter how banged up he is, apparently he was going to climb the mountain. And if they did an angle to explain his absence while he's climbing the mountain, that means they weren't going to publicize the climbing of the mountain, but said mountain will not be climbed, nor clumbed, nor clambered up, because he fucked himself up on it before his goddamn angle to fuck himself up. I think I need a tranquilizer.
Well, we now have 1 year, Darby, to get ready for Mount Everest. Tony can get ready with a camera crew, and we'll see. I guess the message should be, Darby, if you want to do this, in the month leading up to it, don't throw yourself through a plane of glass, or a pane of glass, I guess. A plate of glass or a pane of glass, I combine the two, and cut your entire back up, and then break your foot in the weeks leading up to this.
What about, here's another thing, he had all those cuts on his back, he's fixed to go fucking ride those burros up Mount Everest. What if the burros had some kind of fucking flatulence disease or something and those cuts got infected? Well, he could come back as a werewolf.
There's just like dead bodies that are frozen all over the place up there, along with a lot of garbage that people leave behind. Or
as the Sherpas call it, snacks.
They don't eat the dead bodies. What are you talking about?
Well, they're frozen, so they wouldn't be spoiled.
That's cannibalism, Jim.
Well, I'm sorry, Bones, but what are you gonna do?
God damn it, Jim! I'm a co-host, not a a Sherpa.
If you're up there and the going gets rough, and the picnic basket is empty, and there's Harry Styles from fucking Cleveland. He's frozen, but he has
Harry
pictures
Styles.
of his family in his wallet, but he ain't going back anytime soon. So I wonder, would he miss a forearm or a calf?
All right, and don't forget also, they injured Darby, and then there was a whole nother angle where they turned on Billy Gunn right after that. That wasn't even the end of it.
Yeah. Well, at least now they're moving in a different direction. And we hope that Darby limps on back to action real soon now. Y'all, you hear?
Go to Gum Alley, see what kind of special medicine you can find. They won't do that. He's straight edge. But get well soon, Darby. I am a fan of Darby Allin, so I say get well soon legitimately.
Well, and somebody who, I don't know if he was injured by this, or maybe his feelings. I have a feeling his cheeks were burning from embarrassment, but...
I'm already regretting it, because I know, I feel bad right now that he got hurt, and, next week with his broken foot, we're going to see some video of him driving a car off a mountain somewhere.
Oh, yeah, he's not going to... With his foot sticking out the window.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
With his foot sticking out the window, so it'll be fine. It's in a cast. It's over here. I'm